send y'all spec. And hits that me, that's facts. I'm still coming for a play. When I hear something, then shut up, 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 shut up.
First off, the title and the video are not to say that like 5-drops aren't good, you shouldn't run them. I love 5-drops, all right? Sir Conrad, Lord of Pain, Scarab God. Those are my boys. But I do think they're the weakest CMC, along with being a complete trap CNC, not to only new players, but pretty much every deck builder ever. I think they're a huge reason why a lot of decks get gummed up. Make sure to like and subscribe to get us to that 10K mark. We're literally so close to that. And let's talk about 5-drops. The 5-drop, as I see it, has a pretty specific role, and that role has been filled since day one. If you were to go through Magic's backlog of sets, the first 5-drop you'd see that they ever designed and printed was Sierra's Angel, way back in 1993 in Alpha. And you can ask anybody from these days, and they'll tell you that Sierra's Angel was a solid ass card. And that had a reason. That was because compared to every single other 5-drop that existed, Sierra's Angel had far better stats for the cost. Compare this to the release of 2010's Baneslayer Angel, which is a stat checking machine and still saw little to no play. Frankly, just wasn't good enough to make the cut in a lot of people's decks. This goes to show two things. One, 5-drops need to be able to win games in their current environment. And two, the bar you should be setting for 5-drops is much higher than you even think it should be. And I'll get into these 2 points more in depth, but I want to jump into a third thing that I want to talk about beforehand, which is mana curve. The standard of mana rocks has changed over the years, so the context has kind of changed over the years of understanding how good 5-drops can be. It used to be the Wild West out here, all right? We used to be running tons of 3-drop mana rocks, having 5 mana on turn 4 all the time. That's not really how we do things anymore. In Commander, 2-drop mana rocks and ramp are supreme. Not to say like Relic of Legends and cornucopias here and there aren't powerful, but the overall standard in Commander deck building is mana ramp and rocks are going to be 2-drops. It's also common to run enough of these cards in your deck that you're guaranteed one of them in your opening hand. This of course means that most games on turn 2 you'll be ramping, meaning that if you're hitting your land drops on turn 3 you'll have 4 mana available, meaning you could play a 4-drop, 2 2-drops, a 3-drop, a 1-drop, a 2-drop, and keep 2 mana open for a counter spell. Tons of good stuff. This makes 4-drops really strong in Commander, where turn 2 ramp happens most games, as they come out turn 3 early enough to be a threat to opponents, while also coming out early enough that hopefully our opponents are just tapped out or just less likely to use all their mana and waste a turn on removal, so it'll stick. This is where it gets super interesting, because as we said, a large percentage of our deck is ramp and rocks, so a lot of the time, on that turn 3, we end up playing a second piece of ramp and then like a 2-drop value piece. So by turn 4, we're left with 2 options. We either have 6+ mana, which could leave us playing a 5-drop with little to no mana to follow up and protect it with, or we have 5 mana on the nose with no mana to follow up or protect it with. And think about this, if you decided to put 6 5-drops in your deck, and your opponent runs 4 5-drops instead, and those extra 2 slots are counter magic and removal piece, your 5-drops just got really bad. Like I said, this isn't to say 5-drops are bad, you just need to make sure that they are more than likely to stick with something like this spell can't be countered on it, or something like ward on it, which is actually a great segue into the 2 points from before. The first point being 5-drops should be able to end the game. Honestly, I'm hard and fast on this. It's not some 5-drops should be able to end the game. Every 5-drop in your deck, I think, should be able to end the game. The reason being, 5-drops are where the mana curve officially becomes stacked. And what I mean by this is since day one, since the Sierra Angel days, Wizards of the Coast has shown a willingness to want to start pushing the boundaries of stats and power abilities at the mana value of 5. Some old examples of this: Sigil of the Empty Throne, Living Death, Doubling Season, Mana Geyser. I'm sure there's one for blue that's not just a 0-drop in disguise. All jokes aside, there are tons of early examples of this design. 5-drops should be able to end games. This alone has made a ton of my decks run steady cam mode levels of smooth. It's really good. Moving on to point 2 though, 5-drops should be set to a higher bar than most any other CMC. I genuinely believe that. Like we've discussed, 5-drops are a big investment at an awkward time in the game, so honestly, they need to be insanely good to make the cut. They need to either be able to be used the turn they're played or have some sort of built-in protection on them. So with all these points in mind, I want to show you some of the 5-drops I no longer run. So Lord of Nazgul is a great example. It's one that I stopped running in my Spellslinger builds, as far more often than not, it would hit play with no way to protect itself, with me tapping out or at an awkward amount of remaining mana. The opponent would read it, go, oh, that's really good if it sticks. Thank God it's slow and has no way to protect itself. I'ma just smoke it now. Or if they're tapped out, wait for me to pass, destroy it then. A game-winning ability? Definitely, but no way to really use it effectively or protect it, and it's kind of a big blowhorn that's like, hey, I will absolutely destroy you and end the game if you let me get out of hand, and I have no way to protect myself. Underrealm Lich is another one I've stopped running for the opposite reason. It does check the box of protecting itself, as you can pay life to give it indestructible, and while being a 5-mana engine for absolutely filling the shit out of your graveyard, it's no doubt powerful, it's just an expensive engine. This won't win your games. I mean, it might, paired with a mill card, and a haste enabler, and a reanimator card, and a creature in the grave that you hit off your mill card. Doom Whisperer is a great one that I think the community agrees with me on because it's like $1. Everyone says this card is crazy strong. It's so crazy strong. Why aren't you running this in your deck? Oh, it's so crazy. I don't like playing it. Like we've established, 5 drops are awkward, and while yes, you can use this guy's ability the turn he comes out, the ability comes at a cost of life, which isn't a huge deal, but when you lay down 10 life for 5 surveils to fill the grave, pass with no swing, didn't do anything with that surveil, and no way to protect itself, opponents destroy it. Exile my grave with a Bajuka Bog. Shit. Plus, if I'm playing this on curve, no extra mana for me to interact with the opponents, and again, the blowhorn effect. This thing's like, hey everybody, kill me immediately. And it has like the added layer of like not being great, because like a lot of people, in response to them trying to kill my Doom Whisperer, I oftentimes will dump like 10 more health into it because I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get it back just in case they exile grave or something. I guess I'll use it while I can. All right, so I guess that's the end of my turn. I played a 5/5 that you smoked. I played 20 of my health. I milled myself for half my deck, and now you're going to exile it. Pass. You know, not great. So moving into the last point I wanted to make with this video, context is incredibly important in everything, especially 5 drops and Magic. No, context is extremely important in everything. So a great example of this is Lord of Pain that I brought up earlier. I love playing Lord of Pain now. But you might be asking yourself, this doesn't check one of the boxes, Nick. It definitely provides a game-ending ability, sets the game into overdrive, makes every first spell anyone cast into damage to another player. It's a check there. But I hear you, you're saying it doesn't protect itself. This is where playtesting cards just becomes invaluable. You need to just do it even if you're 100% sure. Nope, that doesn't check the box. Play with it. Because this thing actually does protect itself, weirdly enough, as its effect is promising extra damage to everyone at the table for whatever reason. And most of the time when you play this, you go, hey, if you play a spell, I'll let you pick who you're dealing damage to. And people cannot say no to dropping their Zen triplets and zapping the opponent for 5 damage to the dome. And I guarantee you that the opponent that took the damage is gonna want to get back at him. Hit him with the little, you gonna let him do that to you, dude? You're gonna let him do that to you, dude? You better play something big next turn, get his ass back. Cost reduction is another piece of context that I think is important, as I'm sure you Discord mods are screaming at my screen right now. What about Force of Will? That's a 0 drop. You for saying it's not a 0 drop. But if your commander causes a cost reduction effect like Rakdos, Lord of Riots, these 5 drops might just be considered 2 drops, 3 drops, depending on how efficiently your Rakdos is firing off. Again, playtesting is extraordinarily important to find out what can survive and what doesn't. Now, if you want to try taking away 2 things from this video, just give it an attempt and tap back in with me in the comments and let me know how your decks have been performing afterwards. Take into consideration that every 5 drop you run should be able to end the game. Also take into consideration every 5 drop you run should be able to use its ability the turn it comes out to some extent to even get a little bit of value, or should be able to protect itself in some form. That bar needs to be set higher for these 5 drops. Looking at a lot of my list as of late, they run 2 to 3 5 drops, and I'm not joking. They don't run a lot. It's a clunky, awkward turn, and a lot of the times those 5 drops end up coming in at a later turn because I'm not running as many now. And they're way easier to work with, way easier to protect even more so than they do themselves, way easier to get their abilities to fire off. Let me know how you come out the other side in your deck building experience. A couple of exciting things happening on the channel. I've got 2 pieces of artwork that I'm going to be commissioning for some merch. We're gonna have a playing mat, and we're going to have a piece of clothing, whatever that ends up being. I'm really excited. I'm not gonna spoil too much. One of them is reanimation themed. The other one I think is just really cool Magic player out in the wild merch, where if you wear it, someone's like, that's a really cool shirt. But if you wear it and someone plays Magic, they're like, oh, love that. We're working on a website, should be live by April. We're gonna have budget decks that I've showcased on the channel on there, where you can click on their deck list, look at summaries of them, order them, ways to interact with the community, daily card highlights to kind of tap into you OG fans of the channel, and access to another form of Wizards wish list, which if you aren't familiar with that, there's a link down below that links over to the Reddit, which is gonna be one place you can use Wizards wish list, but the main place is gonna be on the website. You might ask, what is Wizards wish list? And I think Mia, or Maya, over on Discord summed it up pretty good. I brought mutual aid to Magic. It's a thing I've been wanting to do for a really long time, and essentially what it is, think of it like a bounty board. I understand that life can get rough, and you don't have a lot of money sometimes to spend on cardboard, and I really do understand that, but you still love the game. You might have friends that you want to play with, they're getting some new cards, you're like, shit. What you can do over on the website or on Reddit is post what you're in need of, and see if the community helps you out. I love this idea of, let's say someone's like, hey, when I was 17, I pulled this promo White Knight that's randomly $30 online. I can't afford it, but it was my favorite card. Post it on there. Someone might just have that White Knight and be like, here you go, dude. I literally don't use this White Knight at all. So if that's something you're interested in, there's a link down below and you can check that out. You can also join the Discord, which has access to more information on Wizards Wishlist, as well as a huge community of awesome people. But I don't want to talk your ear off. Links down in the description, information down in the description. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.